You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up the better. Put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheap again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the 6th part of What If Naruto Enters Xiaolin Showdown. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of KFB Anime 87 on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Naruto and Guan were walking through the forest and soon they arrived at a large mountain, with what looked like a demon face as the entrance into a cave. This is the place, Guan said, as he led the way into the mouth of the demon's face. Are you sure? Naruto asked curiously, as he looked around a bit apprehensively. Trust me, you will be fine, Guan said, as he turned to look at Naruto and gave him a firm look. After a few moments, Naruto nodded at this and followed Guan into the cave. They soon came into a large area that looked like a palace. It had a large series of staircases, open rooms, and pools of water. The whole area glowed blue and was shining white, and there seemed to be an endless amount of rooms and passageways. A figure then appeared on top of the tall stairway. He had dark green hair, reptile-like eyes, and wore some armor. "Welcome to my palace," the young man said with a smile at them both. "I have brought him to you, Chase." "Now, my spear," Guan said firmly as he stepped forward, while holding out his hand. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this, as he looked at Guan and then at the newly introduced Chase. "Very well then. Take it and go, old friend," Chase said as he took out a spear with a hook on the end, before throwing it at Guan. Guan easily caught it and turned to leave. "Hey, what's going on?" Naruto yelled as he looked at Guan. Guan said nothing to this as he left. "Hey! I know that you can hear me, DMN it." Naruto yelled as he went to follow Guan. Guan paused at this, as a memory flashed through his head of a teen Kushina yelling the same thing at him when he left to explore the world. But he quickly composed himself, before he continued to walk away. Before Naruto could catch up with Guan, Naruto heard some growls and stopped, as he saw what looked like a bunch of jungle cats coming out from behind pillars and rocks, blocking his way while Guan left. "No need to leave so soon, Mr. Uzumaki. I have gone to a lot of trouble to have you brought here. Please, join me for a meal. I believe that you are partial to ramen, yes?" Chase asked, as he looked down at Naruto with a smile. Naruto looked at the jungle cats surrounding him and just looking at them, he could tell that asking them wouldn't do anything. "Well, it's not like you're giving me much of a choice," he said, as he walked up the set for stairs. "Well, I did go to a lot of trouble to have you brought here," Chase said, as he led Naruto into a dining area with a big table, where there was a great amount of different foods. "And the reason for that is?" Naruto asked, as he raised an eyebrow at Chase. "All in good time, my young Uzumaki. Please, sit," Chase said as he sat down in his own seat, while he pointed at a chair across from him. Naruto looked at the chair, which one of the jungle cats pulled back for him, so he could sit down. Naruto sat down in the seat, as some of the cats sat down around them. "So tell me, my young Uzumaki, what do you know about your heritage?" Chase asked, as he held a bowl of hot soup. "Well, I know that VOICEOVER is my grandma, so fighting her was complicated for me," Naruto said, as he thought about VOICEOVER a bit, before he pulled a bowl of ramen towards him. "It's such a disappointment when families fight each other. Tell me, why do you waste your talent on the Xiaolin side, when the Heilin side is where your family is?" Chase asked, before he drank some of his soup. "That's not true," Naruto said firmly, as he clenched his hands around the bowl of ramen. "Oh?" Chase asked, raising an eyebrow at this as he finished his soup. I have my grandparents in my home village and my animal friends at that village too, and I have my friends at the Xiaolin temple. The Heilin side has nothing to offer me, Naruto said firmly. And if say, some of your friends were turned to the Heilin side, would that change your mind? Chase asked, as he lightly smirked, as 9 shadowy figures appeared behind him, each with a pair of glowing red eyes and multiple tails. Naruto's eyes widened at this, as his magical aura activated from his anger, before he threw his bowl of ramen at Chase. Chase ducked just as the ramen flew over his head, before he spun around and kicked the table strong, sending it into Naruto's stomach, sending him flying into the room behind him. Naruto slammed into one of the pillars of the main chamber and groaned, as he fell to the ground below, but he landed on his hands and knees, before he struggled to get back up onto his feet. Good, I was hoping that you wouldn't be easily defeated, Chase said, as he casually walked down the stairs toward him. Naruto struggled to his feet, watching as the hordes of wild cats surrounded him and Chase, while the 9 shadowy figures looked down at them. Alright then, if you wanna see what I've got, then I'll be happy to show you. Naruto shouted, SWNGNG. The Rui Jingu banged towards Chase. The evil genius easily sidestepped the initial swing, then ducks the follow-up swipe. Naruto jumped into the air, unleashing a rapid flurry of pole jabs. Chase smirked, appearing like a shifting phantom, as the pole struck into the ground. Chase picked up a broken piece of the floor between his fingertips, flinging it towards Naruto, striking him in the forehead. Gah! The dragon of nature shouted, losing his grip on his wu. Chase appeared behind Naruto and kicked him in the back, sending him crashing to the ground. Please don't tell me that's all. I was hoping for more from an Uzumaki, Chase said with a confident grin. Naruto staggered to his feet, as he held up a rose in his hand, forming the rose WHP. Ah, let's see how far you have come with your magic, Chase said with a smile. Petals and thorns. Naruto shouted, SWNGNG his WHP, creating a storm of rose petals and sharp thorns, flying through the air. Chase walked calmly through the whirlwind without so much as a cut on him. What the hell, gak? Naruto coughed up spit, as Chase smashed his upper fingers into Naruto's chst. Naruto reared back, holding on to his stomach. Chase then struck the boy across the face, sending him crashing into a nearby pillar, creating spider-web cracks. DMN, he barely touched me, yet my whole body feels like it's been hit with a concrete brick, Naruto thought, pain racking through his body. Very impressive, for one so young. But I'm afraid that I'm far above your skill level, Chase said, as he approached the downed Naruto. Naruto growled at this, as he struggled to get up, before suddenly something pushed down on his back, pinning him to the ground. Naruto groaned at this, before he looked over his shoulder, and saw what looked like an orange fox the size of a polar bear, with 9 bushy tails waving behind it and red eyes looking down at him, as he glared at him while he had him pinned. I do believe you know my newest pet. Kurama, I believe his name was? Chase asked with a grin, as he dusted himself off. Let him and the others go now, or I swear to God that I'll dash, Naruto growled out, before Kurama applied pressure to his back, making him yell in pain. Now Kurama, none of that. We don't want him hurt too badly, Chase said to Kurama, who obeyed and let up on Naruto's back. If you're gonna kill me, then you may as well do it now, otherwise it's gonna cost you, Naruto growled out, as he looked up at Chase. Now why would I do that? My dear Kushina and Ouya would be so disappointed if I did something like that, Chase said with a fond smile, as he said this. What are you on about, you jackass? Naruto asked, as he struggled to get loose. Chase smiled at this, as he responded to Naruto, causing Naruto's eyes to widen in shock at what he was just told. Later with the others. The other Xiaolin warriors along with Dojo and Sapphire were walking along a beach, with Dojo leading the way towards the new Wu. I still say that we should have gotten Naruto to come with us, Kimiko said, as she looked up at the sky, lost in thought. Oh my dear Kimiko, you shouldn't be such a cube and rope with Naruto, Omi said calmly, as he shook his head. This got confused looks from the others at Omi's obvious butchering of slang. I think he means ball and chain, Clay said, as he adjusted his hat a bit. That too, Omi said with a nod. Well, he's not wrong. I mean, let Naruto meet this friend of old man Guan's, Raimundo said, as he lightly rolled his eyes at Kimiko. As fun as it is to grill Kimiko for being a sap, what woo are we looking for this time? Jack asked Clay, who had the ancient scroll. Clay opened up the scroll, which showed an image of what looked like a pair of sandals. The monsoon sandals. Whoever wears them can have their legs lengthened, even to the point where they can stretch for miles, he said, as the scroll showed the woo being used. So a clothes version of the Rui Jingu Bang, Kimiko said, as she shook her head at this. Better us having it, than old duck butt. Now let's split up and find it, Raimundo said, as he led the way down the beach. Should be easy thanks to this. I can pinpoint where it is, Jack said with a grin, as he took out a handheld tracking device. Are you trying to make me feel useless? Dojo asked, as he huffed a bit at this. This is for finding it when it's close, my dragon amigo, Jack said with a smile, as his device started to beep as he pointed it down the beach. The group continued to walk down the beach, looking for the monsoon sandals. We're coming in hot, people, Jack said, as he turned to look at the group, as his tracker rapidly beeped. But we are not hot, Omi said with a tilt of his head. He means that we're getting close, partner, Clay said, as he patted Omi on the head. Remind me to get you a slang book, Omi, Raimundo said as he sighed at this. Why? It's a good running GG-, Jack was saying as he looked at the others with a grin, before he bumped into something and fell onto the sand. Are you okay, Jack? Kimiko asked, before she looked at what Jack had bumped into and took a ready stance. Yeah, I'm fine, Jack said as he got up, before pausing as he saw that it was Chase he had bumped into. Greetings, young Xiaolin dragons. I am Chase Young, Chase said, as he held up his hands, showing that he had the monsoon sandals. Chase Young. You're the most evil of all evil. I used to follow your entire career. Jack yelled, as he smiled widely. Well, I don't like to brag, Chase said with a grin. What are you doing here? Don't tell me you're working with that Uchiha, Jack said as he scowled a bit. Before Kimiko, who was behind him, slapped him on the back of the head. Quit being a fanboy, you moron, Kimiko said, as she glared at Jack, annoyed at him. While the young Uchiha has potential, I am here to see how the new Xiaolin dragons have progressed so far in their training. I do believe that you were looking for this. Chase said, as he held up the monsoon sandals and gave them a condescending smile. Are you looking to challenge us to a Xiaolin Showdown? Raimundo asked with a raised eyebrow. Nothing so big. I'm meaning to challenge you to take this woo from me, Chase said, as he held out the sandals. If you wish to see our skills, Chase Young, then we will happily deliver. Omi yelled, as he ran at Chase. We're right behind you, Omi. Raimundo yelled as he, Clay and Kimiko followed after him to attack Chase. Guys, I don't think this Jack was saying nervously, before he was cut off. Are you having a relapse, Spicer? Sophia asked, as she gave Jack a slight glare. What? No. I mean, I just don't think that we can win against this guy. He's got a reputation up there with Wuya, for crying out loud. Jack said as he shook his head at this. As he was saying this, the others were attacking Chase from all sides, who was easily blocking their attacks one-handed or avoiding their attacks altogether without moving. Gah! This guy is making a fool of us. Kimiko yelled, as she jumped back, after Chase slammed his palm into her forehead. This guy is tougher than beef jerky, Clay said as he panted a bit. Anyone have any ideas? Raimundo asked, as he stood at the ready behind Chase. Omi took a stance and noticed that they all had Chase surrounded now, and after a few moments, they all nodded and charged at Chase. Chase smirked at this, and at the last moment, he jumped into the air, causing the 4 Xiaolin dragons to slam into each other. "Oh, I'm sorry. Did you require me to stay still?" Chase asked with a smirk at the down teens, as he stood on a large boulder. "Oh great, he has a sense of humor," Raimundo groaned, as he held his head. "I must say, you're almost disappointing. I suppose it was luck that let you beat VERYYYY," Chase said with a grin, as he dropped the monsoon sandals at his feet. "What's your scram, evildoer?" Omi asked, as he stood up. "Scam," Kimiko said, as she stood up along with Clay and Raimundo. "That too," Omi said as he kept his eyes on Chase. "I just wanted to see what made my new guest so adamant, that I leave you all alone. And I can see that it's because you're still so weak," Chase said, as he turned around to leave. "What are you talking about?" Raimundo asked, as he glared at Chase. "Oh, forgive me. I do believe you know my new permanent guest at my home, the Dragon of Nature," Chase said, as he turned and looked at them. This got stunned silence from everyone, before they all glared at Chase. "If you hurt him, I swear that I'll dash," Kimiko was growling out, as her eyes lit up with flames, before she was cut off. "You will do what?" Chase asked, as he glared back at Kimiko, not backing down from her. Kimiko didn't hesitate at this and attempted to approach Chase, but was quickly grabbed from behind and put in a hold by Jack. "Let me go, DMN it!" Kimiko yelled out, as she tried to get loose from Jack's hold. "What, and let you get wasted? Naruto would kill me!" Jack yelled back, as he struggled to keep his grip on the Dragon of Fire. "How did you even capture Naruto, anyway?" Sapphire growled at Chase, as she grew to her giant size. Chase looked up at the giant dragon and didn't react at all. "Ah, so he has befriended the Sapphire Dragon. Most impressive. I recall you being most stubborn back in the day," he said with a smile at the dragon. "Don't waste my time with the past, I asked you a question. Now answer it, before you get turned to Sapphire." Sapphire growled out, flames escaping from her mouth. "As fun as it would be to remind you how outclassed you were back then and still are, I'll happily tell you how the Dragon of Nature has become my permanent guest. Just ask my old friend Guan," Chase said with a grin, before he disappeared in a burst of speed. "Master Guan?" Omi asked, as his eyes widened at this reveal. "Come on, we should find Guan and force an explanation out of him," Raimundo said, as he crossed his arms with a scowl on his face. "Sounds good to me. Now let me go, you idiot," Kimiko said with a nod, before she yelled at Jack, who still had her in a hold. "Are you gonna stay calm?" Jack asked, as he raised an eyebrow at her. Kimiko growled at this, before she raised her foot and swung it down, slamming it hard on Jack's knee. "Yo!" Jack yelled out, as he let go of Kimiko and grabbed his knee and fell on his back. "Saddle up, people. We'll find him." Dojo yelled, as he grew to his giant form. "Someone grab the monsoon sandals before we go," Raimundo said, as he pointed at the Wu Chase left behind. "I'll get them," Omi said, as he ran over and picked up the Wu before running back to the others. "Why do you suppose he left them behind?" Dojo asked curiously. "Who cares? Let's go and get some answers already." Sapphire and Kimiko yelled out together. "Let's go, people," Clay said, as he grabbed Jack and put him on his shoulder, as he and the others got on Dojo and Sapphire's backs, before they flew off. With Guan. In a forest near a river, Guan was sitting on a rock with his spear laid in front of him, meditating in thought. "It's been so long since I even talked to Kushina. So why did interacting with her son get to me?" Guan thought to himself, as he thought back to the past when he and Dashi were training a child Kushina. He then heard a roar and looked up. But before he could react, he was tackled by Sapphire to the ground. "Give me one good reason why I shouldn't turn you into a sapphire statue." Sapphire growled out angrily, as she kept him pinned to the ground, while the others jumped off Dojo, who had landed nearby. Don't bother denying it. Chase showed up and told us you sold Naruto out. Kimiko yelled out as she approached him, a look of fury on her face. So you have about 10 seconds to talk, before we let Sophia and Kimiko go nuts on you, Raimundo said as he gave Guan a strong look. Chase made me do it. Guan yelled out, as he knew it was best to just talk. What do you mean, master? Omi asked, as he looked at the downed master, hoping to get an explanation so he could understand. He took my spear, which he knows is my treasure. He told me that if I wanted it back, then I was to bring him Naruto, Guan said, as he felt ashamed as he confessed. You sold out the son of your adopted niece, for a spear? Clay asked, as he raised his hat. It's what makes me a great warrior. Plus, I know Chase won't hurt him, Guan said firmly. What makes you so sure? Dojo asked curiously. Chase isn't one to torture people. He's more one to use manipulation to make you join him, Jack said, as if he had this memorized. Everyone looked at him with surprised looks at this. Heh. Like I said, I was a fan of his, Jack said, as he rubbed the back of his head. Please tell me you know where his base is, Kimiko said, feeling her limit being reached with Jack. Oh sure, I know where it is, Jack said as he nodded at this. Okay team, we have a rescue mission. So let's go get some woo and go kick some butt. Raimundo yelled at the team. Chase knows you will show up. He's counting on it, to use you against Naruto, Guan said simply, as Sophia let him up. And what do you care? You obviously don't, Sophia growled out. Yeah. I hope your spear was worth it, Kimiko said, as she jumped onto Sophia's back, as she gave the older monk a strong glare. I must say, I agree. A true warrior's best weapon is his spirit, not his weapon, Omi said as he, Raimundo, Clay and Jack got on Dojo's back, before the two dragons took off into the sky. Guan watched them fly off in silence, as his thoughts went back to his past, training Kushina with Dashi, before he clenched his fists and made a decision. With Naruto. Inside Chase's throne room, Naruto was hanging inside a large cage, with a few of Chase's jungle cats underneath it. You know, I can see why you took my animal friends and corrupted them. Barring Matatabi, you wanted some variety, Naruto said as he looked down at the jungle cats, while Chase sat on his throne nearby, scratching the head of a jungle cat sitting next to him. You have your mother's mouth, my young Uzumaki. I took your little animal friends and improved them, so they could be your minions, when you join me as my heir, Chase said as he looked up at Naruto. Not exactly a good gift, Naruto was saying, before he was cut off, as the front doors of the throne room were bashed open by Sophia, before she unleashed a blast of azure flames on the surrounding jungle cats. When the flames died down, the jungle cats were revealed to be turned into sapphire statues, which turned to glare at Chase and the jungle cats that had been able to avoid the flames. Now that was unnecessary, Chase said, as he slowly stood up and glared at the young teens and two dragons. You took our friend's partner, Clay said firmly, as he took a battle stance. So we take some of your cat minions, Omi said, as he took a battle stance of his own. Sick him. Kimiko said to Sophia, as she glared at Chase. Sophia roared at this, before she charged at Chase and bit down at him. But Chase quickly jumped and spun in the air, and when Sophia went past him, he jabbed his fingers into her neck, slamming the dragon into the ground and making the ground crack from the force behind his attack, causing Sophia to fall to the ground. Sophia! Naruto yelled out from his cage, as the dragon shrunk down to her small form, causing the jungle cats that had been turned into sapphire statues to turn back to normal. Dude, Raimundo said, as his eyes widened at this show of skill. It would seem that this Chase Young is most strong, Omi said, as he tried to keep his composure. Well, I did use to fight alongside Dashi as the Dragon of Water, Chase said with a smirk, as he snapped his fingers. This caused 9 figures to jump out of the darkness, and surround the teens. Is it just me partners, but do these critters look familiar? Clay asked, as what looked like a giant ape growled at him. "Yeah, that raccoon kinda looks familiar," Raimundo said, as he looked at the giant tanuki that was growling at them. Kimiko looked at the giant cat with two tails and mismatched eyes, whose fur was on fire, that was also growling at them. "Wait, Matatabi," she asked, recognizing the eyes of the little tiger friend of Naruto's. "You fiend! You corrupted Naruto's animal friends into being your minions." Omi yelled out, as he pointed at Chase, before Kurama snapped his jaws at him, making Omi back off. "And I thought that these guys were bad before," Jack said, as he looked at the tailed beasts growling at them, remembering how they had caused him trouble when he was evil before. But now, this was something else entirely. "Now, you all will either join me or you can suffer the consequences. I have no problem locking you up, until you change your minds," Chase said, as he pointed up at the cage Naruto was in. Before the teens could answer, Chase noticed a figure in the doorway behind them. "Why are you here, Guan?" Chase asked, as he raised an eyebrow at this. "I challenge you to a showdown, Chase Young," Guan said as he stood at the ready. "Wow, a regular showdown. Ha, we haven't had one of those in years," Dojo said. What's the difference?" Jack asked with a raised eyebrow. "Oh. And what are you hoping to accomplish, my old friend?" Chase asked as he raised an eyebrow at this. "Atoning for a mistake," Guan said, as he looked up at Naruto and nodded at him, before looking at Chase again. "Very well. What are the stakes?" Chase asked curiously. "If I win, you let the teens go. If I lose, then I become one of your minions." "No Shingon Wu, just pure martial arts skill," Guan said as he approached. "Very well. Let the showdown begin," Chase said with a grin, as the room started to warp and soon it became an arena, with the teens and jungle cats and tailed beasts in the stands, while Chase and Guan were in the arena itself. "Gong Yi Tempi!" Guan and Chase yelled out, starting the showdown. Chase's body then bulged and he then transformed into a large green and black lizard. He had black spikes down the middle of his back, sharp claws, red eyebrows and a long tail. "Figures that he has an evil form," Kimiko said, as she shuddered at this. "Kick his butt, Guan!" Raimundo yelled, as he pumped his fist in the air. Chase and Guan then charged at each other. The Xiaolin warrior struck at him with his spear, but he blocked each of his strikes. Chase then jumped up, spinning his staff, unleashing an assault of jabs, forcing the monk warrior back, but never breaking his defense. A powerful strike pushed Guan back, allowing Chase to flip behind him, striking him in the back with his tail, knocking Guan down on his stomach and sending him skidding down to the toothy edges. Chase stepped down on a lever, causing the teeth to slump down, revealing a molten light beneath, as flames shot from the ground, encircling the former dragons of earth and water in a ring of flames. Chase then jumped into the air, stomping his foot down on Guan's chst, pushing him further towards the flames. Guan turned his spear, extending his chain blade, knocking Chase back. "You cannot defeat me, even the spear of Guan will not save you," Chase declared, as he gave a smirk. "What makes a warrior strong is not the weapon," Guan stated, flipping over, holding the spear over his shoulders. "But the warrior holding the weapon," he proudly proclaimed, causing Omi to give a thumbs up to his friends, with Jack rubbing his head. "Your theatrics are quite amusing, old friend," Chase said, before he got to all fours, as a blue aura covered his body. "As are your skills in combat." Chase leapt at Guan, a surging torrent of water surrounding him like a mini tsunami, striking into Guan. He then slammed his palm into the ground, sending out an orange pulse around the arena, pushing Chase back. Tornado strike, water. Seismic kick, earth. Chase and Guan's respective elemental attacks collided against each other in a powerful explosion, pushing the both of them into the air. Chase hung onto a nearby lamp, while Guan leaned on a nearby ledge. He ran past the growing flames, flipping down and landing back onto the arena floor. Chase pulled down another lever with his tail, causing several mirrors to shoot upwards. Guan moved his way through the Hall of Mirrors, while Chase leapt through the halls, catching Guan's attention. The Earth Monk jumped atop a mirror, allowing Chase to pull another hidden lever, turning them over, knocking his opponent down. Chase then grabbed him from behind, throwing him into a nearby mirror. The monk jumped to his feet, kicking Chase in the chest, cracking the mirror. Chase moved around the mirrors waiting to attack, while Guan took up a stance, channeling his earth chi into his fists, causing them to glow. Seeing his moment, Chase crept up from behind. "I see you for what you are, and not what you pretend to be," Master Monk Guan stated, just as Chase swiped down his claw. "Repel the beast," he yelled, as he slammed his fists into Chase's chest, releasing a powerful shockwave, pushing Chase along the path of mirrors, breaking them one after another, till he fell to the ground on his back. This caused the arena to be engulfed in light, and when the light faded, everyone was back in Chase's throne room, and Chase was human again. The jungle cats and the tailed beasts all growled as they approached Guan, the teens and the dragons. "Looks like they are sorry loners," Omi said, as the beasts approached them. That's sore losers," Cue-ball, Jack said. "That too," Omi said with a nod, as everyone took a battle stance. "Stop. You have won and I am a man of my word. You may all go. But rest assured, we will meet again," Chase said, as he stood up while holding his shoulder, as the cage holding Naruto opened, causing him to drop down and onto his feet. "Naruto!" Kimiko yelled, as she ran over to him and hugged him tightly. "Kimiko, I'm fine. He didn't hurt me that bad," Naruto said with a chuckle, as he hugged her back. "Leave now," Chase said firmly, as he walked over to his throne and sat down, while the jungle cats and tailed beasts walked away from the group. "You don't need to tell me twice. Let's get while the getting is good," Dojo said, as he jumped onto Clay's head. Everyone quickly made their way to the exit and left. But as they left, Naruto looked back at Chase for a moment, before leaving. Chase just smirked at this, as he didn't feel any anger at his loss today, as tomorrow was another day. Plus, he had done what he truly wanted to do today. Flashback starts. "What are you on about, you jackass?" Naruto asked, as he struggled to get loose. "Don't tell me Wuya never told you who she got together with to have your mother with. You should know, Uzumaki always liked strong partners, my young grandson," Chase said, as he smiled fondly at Naruto, as his eyes widened at this reveal. Flashback finished. Xiaolin Temple. It was a normal morning at the temple, as the young monks were getting ready for breakfast, right before they would start training for today. "Hey Kimiko, where's Naruto?" Raimundo asked curiously, as he sat at the table and took his bowl of rice. "Yeah, he's usually the first one up," Clay said, as he looked at Kimiko. "He said that he had trouble sleeping last night," Kimiko said, as she frowned a bit. "Oh dear. Is our friend still recovering from being captured by Chase Young?" Omi asked curiously. "Relax Omi. I was just having this messed up dream that kept me up," Naruto said, as he entered the room and sat next to Kimiko. "What kind of dream?" Sapphire asked curiously, as she and Dojo entered the room. "Were you being attacked by a ramen monster?" Kimiko asked with a raised eyebrow. "That was one time," Naruto said with a grumble, while everyone laughed at this. "Okay, so what was this dream?" Jack asked curiously, as he chuckled lightly. "It was weird. Me and Sapphire got dragged into this crazy adventure, where I had to team up with different versions of myself," Naruto said, as he took a bowl of rice. "Oh, were there different versions of me too?" Omi asked with a grin. "No. Each version of me was from a world that was very different," Naruto said, as he shook his head slightly. "Ah, the multiverse theory," Jack said with a nod. "Oh, come on. That's not an actual thing," Kimiko said, as she shook her head at this. "I don't know, it felt pretty real for a dream. Plus, each of the different versions of me was pretty different. Not all of them were heroic, if you can believe it," Naruto said as he drank some water. You're kidding, Raimundo said, as he raised an eyebrow. Nope. One of them used a guitar like a weapon, and was a smart aleck, while another was a vampire that liked to get bloody with the enemy, Naruto said with a shudder. Yup, definitely multiverse theory, Jack said with a nod at this. Before anyone could ask any more questions, Dojo started to shake. Okay, let's put a pin in this, kids. We have a woo to find, he yelled as he twitched. Everyone nodded at this, as they quickly finished their food and left the dining room and went outside. So, what woo are we looking for this time? Jack asked, as Dojo and Sophia grew to their large forms, with Naruto and Kimiko taking the Azure Dragon as the rest climbed on Dojo. Clay pulled out the scroll and opened it, which showed a rectangular box, with a mosaic design of a scale on the lid. Ha! Not a lot is listed about this one, partners, Clay said, as he looked at the image. Let's just hurry up and get this thing. We can worry about what it does later, Naruto said, as Sophia took off flying into the air, with Dojo right behind her. Rainforest. Later, the group was flying over the rainforest. I spy a problem, partners. Clay yelled, as he pointed down at the ground where Sasuke, Catnap and Vlad were making their way through the forest, with VOICEOVER leading the way. Oh great, Duckbutt and his groupies are already here, Raimundo said with a scowl. Any idea where this scale is, Dojo? Omi asked, as he looked at the green dragon. It's that way. Dojo yelled, as he pointed at a giant tree down below, which Sasuke's group was running towards. I'm on it. Kimiko yelled, as she jumped down from Sophia and started to make her way towards the tree. When she made it to the tree, she looked up and saw that the mosaic scales were up in the top of the tree. There it is. Quick, get it. VOICEOVER yelled, as she pointed at the scales. Not happening, hag. Lotus Twister. Kimiko yelled, as she held up her woo, which she used to stretch her hands and grab the scales. Nice one, Kimiko. Naruto yelled, as he and the others landed nearby. Kimiko smiled at the praise from her boyfriend, but this momentary loss of focus caused her to lose control of her limbs and to send the mosaic scales flying out of her hand and sending her into the water nearby. Ha! Nice job, you klutz. Catnap yelled, as she caught the scales. You're not getting away that easily, little missy, Clay said, as they all readied themselves for a fight. Oh please, Catnap said with a scoff as she snapped her fingers, causing what looked like her mutated cats to appear out of the trees and jump towards them. Not again. Raimundo yelled, as he sent a blast of wind at the cats. I really hate these things. Naruto yelled, as he used his Riwi Jingu Bang to send them flying. Hi-ya! Omi yelled, as he kicked Catnap in the side, sending her into Vlad and causing the mosaic scales to go flying into the air. Get the scales, you fools! VOICEOVER yelled. Too late. Naruto yelled, as he sent his rose WHP at the scales and wrapped around them, before he pulled the woo towards him which he caught. And that's a win for the good guys. Jack yelled with a grin as he threw some of Catnap's cats at the enemy group, before Omi sent some water at them. This caused the now wet cats to hiss in anger, before they started to attack Sasuke, Catnap and Vlad. Hey! Get control of your furballs! Vlad yelled, as a cat clawed at his back. Attack them, not us. Catnap yelled, as she covered her face in a panic. Have fun, duck butt. Raimundo yelled with a laugh, as the group flew off on Dojo and Sophia. Sasuke growled at this, before he activated his Sharingan and glared at the cats, making them all freeze in fear. Next time, lead with that, VOICEOVER said with an annoyed tone. Sasuke said nothing to this, as glared at the retreating monks. Later back at the Xiaolin temple. After arriving back at the temple, everyone climbed off Dojo and Sophia, who then went back to being small. So, what does this woo do, exactly? Jack asked curiously, as he held the mosaic scales, looking it over. Maybe Master Feng knows, Omi said, before he took the Wu from Jack, as they approached the vault. I'll take it, Kimiko said with a firm tone, as she snatched the Wu from Omi, before entering the vault. What's her problem? Jack asked with a raised eyebrow. I think she's annoyed that she messed up today, Raimundo said, as he shrugged. Naruto frowned at this, but made a mental note to put Kimiko at ease later. Hey Kimiko, you want to join us for a game of cards? Clay yelled into the vault, deciding to try and help with easing the tension. If we're playing cards again, I request we search Jack for aces in his sleeves this time, Raimundo said. I second that, Sophia said with a growl, as she looked at Jack with an annoyed look, who chuckled nervously at this. I'm coming. Get started without me. Kimiko yelled from inside the vault. Everyone shrugged at this, as they went inside the temple to go play cards, and after a few moments, Kimiko came out of the vault and looked around to check if the coast was clear, before she made her way to the rest areas. Naruto's room. Kimiko quickly ran into Naruto's room and pulled out what looked like the destroyed mosaic scales, which was split in half. Okay, I'll hide it in Naruto's room. He won't sell me out if he finds out, Kimiko said, as she put the scales in a chst that was in Naruto's room, before she quickly closed the chst and ran out of the room. Unseen to her though, was that the chst she had hidden the broken Wu in, had started to shake from the inside slightly. Later that night. It was after dinner and everyone was making their way to their rooms to go to sleep for the night. Hey Kimiko, Naruto said, as he approached his girlfriend. Yeah, what is it? Kimiko asked, as she looked at Naruto. Look, I wanted to make sure you were okay with what happened today, Naruto said, as he gave her a comforting look. What are you talking about? Kimiko asked nervously, as she was thinking that Naruto had found the broken mosaic scales in his room already. You know, when you accidentally dropped the Wu, and Catnap grabbed it, Naruto said. Oh, what about it? Kimiko asked, as she crossed her arms and slightly scowled. Naruto sighed at this, before he looked at his girlfriend. Kimiko, it's okay that you made a mistake he was saying, before he was cut off. I don't make mistakes, Kimiko said with a light growl of annoyance. Kimiko, everyone makes mistakes. It's how we grow as people, Naruto said, as he grabbed Kimiko's hand. Kimiko looked at Naruto's hand and lightly blushed at this. DMN it Naruto, why do you have to be so wise, she grumbled under her breath. Well, from what I read, it comes with being the dragon of nature. Plus, I'm sure there will be times where you have to call me out when I'm wrong, Naruto said with a chuckle. Oh, you can count on that, Kimiko said with a smile at this. Naruto laughed at this while Kimiko giggled, before she hugged Naruto. Night Naruto, Kimiko said, before she kissed him on the cheek and went to her room. Naruto smiled at this, before he went to his own room and got into his own bed. A few minutes after Naruto went to sleep, the chst in his room opened up and what looked like a small insect that was a cross between a tarantula and an earwig with 4 eyes, 2 large and 2 smaller ones above the main pair, small horns on its head and 4 pairs of pincers appeared. It looked at Naruto and smiled, as it crawled over to Naruto, before it crawled into his ear and went into him, causing Naruto to groan slightly, before he opened his eyes, which were now pitch black. With Wuya. Meanwhile with Wuya, she was at Sasuke's base, floating around him and his team, as they made a new plan. So you're gonna try and steal from their vault again? Wuya asked, raising her eyebrow at this. Yeah. The less Wu they have, the better, Sasuke said as he nodded, while looking at the map of the Xiaolin Temple, as he plotted out their escape route. Well, if you're gonna do this, can you prioritize the reversing mirror? Wuya asked, as she floated next to Sasuke. Why? Vlad asked, with a tilt of his head. Before Wuya could respond, she froze as she felt something, before she saw a vision of Naruto setting up some pranks at the Xiaolin Temple, before laughing maniacally. What? Which Wu has activated? Sasuke asked her. It's not a woo, Wuya said with a growl, as she started to glow because of her anger. Then what is it, hag? Catnap asked with a raised eyebrow. Just get the reversing mirror and make sure you don't lose the serpent's tail, or so help me, I'll make you all suffer. Wuya screeched loudly, causing the room to shake slightly, before she flew out of the room. Is it her time of the month? Vlad asked curiously. At her age? Catnap asked with a scoff. Let's just make the plan, Sasuke said, as he went back to the map with his two teammates joining him. With Wuya. Wuya flew outside of Chase's base and easily entered it, by flying through the closed mountainside. Chase! Wuya yelled out, as she looked around, as she entered the main chamber of the base. Ah, my dear Wuya. What brings you here after so long? I'm surprised you took so long to show up here, Chase's voice echoed, as he entered the chamber, the tailed beasts all behind him. It's not like I knew you actually went and followed after me pathwise, after I was sealed up, love, Wuya said, as she flew around Chase with a slight smirk on her face. True. Now, what brings you here? Chase asked, as he slightly smiled at his love. Sabini has been freed, Wuya said firmly. And why should I care? He's more annoying than evil, Chase asked, as he looked at Wuya unimpressed. Because he's possessing Naruto, Wuya said with a growl, as her eyes glowed. I see, Chase said, as his eyes slightly slitted, before he calmed himself. I have some fools working for me, looking to acquire the reversing mirror and the serpent's tail for me, so I can deal with him myself. But obviously, I don't want to depend on them, Wuya said, as she flew around Chase. And you want me to either deal with Sabini or acquire the reversing mirror and the serpent's tail for you, if your minions fail, Chase stated, understanding what the Xiaolin witch was getting at. Exactly. Think of it, my love, we can be a truly great team, if I have my full power back, Wuya said with a grin, as she ran her ghostly arm over his cheek. Very well then. I'll try and guide those monks into dealing with Sabini, Chase said, as he nodded after some thought. Wuya smiled at this, glad that her plan was coming together. The next day. The group was all doing some exercises, which involved jumping from tree top to tree top, in a race to make it to the finish line. Hey, have any of you seen Naruto? Kimiko asked, as they made their way across the treetops. No. But when I see him, I'm gonna kill him. Raimundo yelled, as he jumped from tree branch to tree branch. Why would you kill our friend? Omi asked curiously. Sarcasm, little guy, Clay said, as he shook his head. At least, I hope so, Jack said with a chuckle. No, I'm gonna kill him. He pulled one of his pranks on me and it went too far. Raimundo yelled out. What did he do? Kimiko asked with a raised eyebrow. He put a paint bomb in the older monk's quarters and framed me for it. Raimundo yelled. Oh, like you wouldn't have done it with him, if asked, Jack stated with a knowing look on his face. That's besides the point. Raimundo yelled at his fellow monk. Naruto wouldn't do that. He only pranks those that have it coming and makes sure people know it's him, Kimiko said, as she frowned, as she landed on a tree branch. Which suddenly broke, causing her to fall to the ground below. Before they could ask if she was okay, the branches Clay, Raimundo, and Jack landed on also broke, causing them to also fall to the ground. Ow, Jack groaned out, as he rubbed his bottom. My friends, what has caused you all to fail so spectacularly? Omi asked, as he landed near them. The branches broke, partner, Clay said, as he fixed his hat. Hey, these branches have been cut. Raimundo yelled, as he looked at the branches that had fallen along with them. Gahahaha, the voice cackled, as Naruto poked his head out of the tree top nearby, while holding up a handsaw. Friend Naruto, what has gotten into you? Omi asked, as he looked up at Naruto. Let's just say I have a new lease on life, cue ball, Naruto said with a wide smirk, before he ran off by jumping from treetop to treetop, while laughing madly. Oi! Get back here, you idiot! Raimundo yelled out in anger. Something is wrong, Kimiko said as she frowned, as they all ran after Naruto. I'll say. Naruto is acting like a squirrel on a sugar high, Clay said, as they tried to keep up with Naruto. Let's split up and meet up back at the temple. See if we can trap him. Raimundo said to the others. A very good idea, my friend, Omi said, as they all split up and took different paths to go after Naruto. Naruto! Naruto! Kimiko shouted, as she looked around, when suddenly, a familiar spirit rose from the ground. Wuya! Oh great, what do you want? She asked, with an annoyed look, as she crossed her arms. Do not worry Kimiko, I'm not here to fight you, this time. Soon, the monarch wings will reveal themselves, I can feel it. And it will be your responsibility to reseal Sabini, Wuya said, surprising the fire dragon. Sabini? Kimiko asked curiously. Who do you think trapped that little bug that's possessed Naruto centuries ago? And I'm also aware it was your foolishness that helped release him and allowed him to possess Naruto, Wuya said with a glare, as Kimiko hung her head in shame. Kimiko's eyes widened at this, as she realized what she had done and she covered her mouth and started to panic. Normally, I'd let you wallow in your own misery. But just this once, I will help you with a method to deal with Sabini, Wuya said, laying her spectral hand on Kimiko's head, as her eyes began to glow. Kimiko stepped back, holding her head in pain, when suddenly, she held up her hands, feeling a burning sensation as green flames seeped out. I have temporarily granted you the power of the spirit flames. These flames were created specifically to deal with those possessed by spirits, without harming the host. Use them wisely, Wuya said, before floating away. Wait! Kimiko called, causing Wuya to turn back, as Kimiko gave her a grateful smile. Thank you. Save Naruto and then we'll call it even. Wuya said, before flying away. Kimiko nodded at this, before she continued on her way back to meet up with the others at the temple. Back at the temple. Meanwhile, back at the temple Sasuke, Catnap and Vlad had just made their way into the building, where the vault was kept. Okay, you know your jobs, Sasuke whispered to his team, as he approached the vault itself along with Catnap. Vlad nodded at this, as he went to the door to keep a lookout, ready to alert them if he saw anyone coming. Hey, the vault is open, Catnap whispered to Sasuke, as they both paused, seeing it was indeed open. Stay alert and be ready for a fight, Sasuke said with a firm tone, as he led the way into the vault with Catnap nodding, as she followed him. As they both walked down the stairs of the vault, they both paused, as they spotted Naruto going through the vault, putting Wu into a sack. Dope? What are you doing? Sasuke asked with a raised eyebrow. From what I see, beating you to the punch, duckhead, Naruto said with a grin, before he cackled a bit, as he took the reversing mirror out of the vault. Hand over the Wu, before we have to hurt Dash, Catnap was saying, before she was cut off. Who are you? Sasuke asked, as he narrowed his eyes, as he looked at the blonde with his Sharingan active. Naruto paused at this, before he laughed again. You have good instincts, red eyes. I didn't expect to run into a Uchiha, he said. Wait, you're not Naruto? Catnap asked curiously. Well, let's just say that I'm renting his body. Call me Sabini, the blonde said with a wide grin. I have heard of you. You're a spirit that likes to cause chaos and can possess people, Sasuke said with a firm tone. That's me. Don't tell me you're looking to fight me, kid. Sabini asked, as he looked at Sasuke with a fanged grin. Faye. I don't really care. You can have the dope, but I want some of the Wu you're taking, Sasuke said with a firm tone. Gahahahaha. I like you, kid. Out for yourself like a real villain. So, take your pick, but one each though, Sabini said with a smile, as he opened the bag of Wu for them. Sasuke nodded at this, as he took the serpent's tail from the sack. And I'll take the reversing mirror, Catnap said, as she took said Wu from Sabini. Interesting choices, but who am I to judge? Now, if you'll excuse me, I am off to go find what I'm really looking for, Sabini said, as he walked past Sasuke and Catnap. Which is what, exactly? Catnap asked him. The mosaic scales. It's not in the vault, so I'm gonna go ask those monks where it is, Sabini said with a smirk. Boss. We have monks incoming. Vlad's voice said from Catnap's earpiece. Ah, perfect timing, Sabini said with a wide grin, as he left the vault, along with Sasuke and Catnap. As Sabini went to confront the arriving Omi, Raimundo, Clay, Kimiko and Jack, Sasuke and his team quickly made their escape. Why did you not fight him, boss? Vlad asked Sasuke, as he pointed at Naruto. I'll explain later, Sasuke said firmly, as they quickly made their escape. Naruto, what are you doing? Jack asked, as they approached. Are you unwell? Omi asked curiously. Oh, I'm feeling great, cheeseball. Now, where are the mosaic scales? Sabini asked with a grin. Dude, you are acting really weird, Raimundo said, as he crossed his arms. Yeah. And what's with all the woo? Clay asked, as he took note of the bag Sabini had. Naruto, if something is wrong, you can tell us. Kimiko was saying, before she was cut off. Just tell me where the mosaic scales are, before I have to get rough with you all. Sabini said with a mad grin, as he clenched his fists tight. Kimiko's eyes widened at this, while the others' eyes narrowed at this. You are not Naruto, Raimundo said with a firm tone. Yeah, Naruto is never that rude to Kimiko, Clay said with his own firm tone. Tell us where the real Naruto is, you imposter. Omi yelled out, as he took a stance. Gahahaha. No wonder this idiot won't stop thinking about her. If it's not ramen, it's her in some stupid village in Japan. Ah well, I'll make better use of his body, Sabini said with a cackle. Looks like we have a possession situation here, amigos, Jack said with a scowl, as he took a fighting stance like Guy taught him. Let him go. Kimiko yelled, as she shot at Sabini, fire appearing in her hands as she saw red. Ah. You don't want to hurt your boyfriend, do you? Remember, I'm just renting this body, so he's the one who will suffer, Sabini said with a smirk, as he avoided Kimiko's strikes. Kimiko froze and hesitated at this, as she definitely didn't want to hurt him. Ha, got you. Sabini yelled, as he slugged Kimiko in the gut, sending her flying, before she landed in the dirt nearby. Then we'll just have to tie you up, Clay said, as he pulled out some rope and spun it over his head. You will try, Sabini said with a grin, as he pulled out the fist of Tebagong. Typhoon boom, wind. Raimundo yelled, as he clapped his hands and sent a burst of wind at Sabini. Sabini blocked with his arms to try and hold his ground, but he was soon sent flying back into the vault. You will return the woo you stole back to where you have taken them, Omi yelled, as he jumped into the air. Tsunami strike, water, he yelled, as he manipulated some water from some jugs nearby and sent it at his possessed friend. Sabini quickly jumped out of the way, causing the water to hit where he had just been. Seismic kick, earth. Clay yelled as he stomped on the ground, making the earth shake underneath them all and a portion of the floor that Sabini was standing on to suddenly shoot up from underneath him, sending Sabini flying into the air. Before Sabini could react, Jack appeared in front of him. Sorry Blondie, but I'm sure that you'll forgive me, he said with an apologetic tone, as he got ready to hit Sabini. But before Jack could do anything, Sabini took a swing at him with the fist of Tebagong, causing Jack to block and be sent flying. Jack! Clay yelled, as Jack crashed into the wall, before falling to the ground. But Raimundo used some wind to cushion his fall. Gahahaha. If you're gonna attack me, then attack. Don't waste time talking, pale face, Sabini said with a laugh, as he jumped up to the window with his bag of woo, before making his escape. What is going on? Master Feng asked, as he entered the vault, along with Dojo and Sophia. Master, Naruto has been taken over by some evil spirit, Omi said. He was asking where the mosaic scales are, Clay said, as he helped Jack to his feet. Are you okay, dude? Raimundo asked his friend. Yeah. Luckily, Master Guy's endurance training is no joke, Jack said with a wince, as he held his shoulder. Wait, Naruto is possessed. How is that possible? Sophia asked with wide eyes. And how is this guy looking for the mosaic scales, when they should be in the vault? Dojo asked, raising an eyebrow at this. Ugh. It's my fault, Kimiko groaned, as she came into the room, holding the broken mosaic scales in her hands. Oh, this isn't good, Master Feng said, as he took the wu from Kimiko. I'm sure that a little glue will fix it, no problem, Raimundo said. That is not the problem, Raimundo, Master Feng said, as he shook his head. What's going on, Master? Omi asked curiously. I'll explain. Quickly, follow me, my young apprentices and Jack, Master Feng said, as he led the way out of the vault. Jack slightly frowned at this, but said nothing, as he didn't let this bother him, as there were more important things to focus on right now. With Sasuke. Back with Sasuke and his team, they had arrived outside Chase's lair. How are we supposed to even get in? Catnap asked, as she looked at the mountain, not seeing a door. Maybe we say open sesame? Vlad asked, as he scratched his head. Before anyone could try anything, Wuya quickly flew out from behind the wall. Well? Did you get them? Wuya demanded, as she looked at the three teens. Of course we did. What, you doubted us? Catnap asked with a grin, as she held up the serpent's tail, while Sasuke held up the reversing mirror. Excellent. Follow me, Wuya said with a grin while rubbing her hands together, as she turned to look at the mountain wall, which opened for them. What is this place, Wuya? Sasuke asked, as they all followed Wuya. All will be revealed in due time, Wuya said, as they entered the main chamber of Chase's base. Not a bad place. Why didn't you bring us to your base before? Catnap asked curiously, as she looked at Wuya. Because it's not her base, Chase said, as he stepped out of the shadows, revealing himself, while his cat minions came out and surrounded them. Chase young, Sasuke said, as his eyes slightly narrowed and turned into the Sharingan. Uchiha. It's an honor to see that your clan is still around and kicking. I do believe me and Madara clashed a few times back in the day, Chase said with a casual tone. You knew the founder of my clan? Sasuke asked, trying not to let on that he was now really curious. Indeed, but we can discuss history later. I do believe you have something for me and Wuya, Chase said. Wait a minute, we went into enemy territory to get these, Vlad said with a scowl. Yeah, we aren't just handing them over for nothing, Catnap said, as she nodded at this. I'm sure that we can come to an agreement, Wuya said with a smile at Sasuke. You help me learn more about my clan and we get some kind of payment for our trouble, Sasuke said firmly. Very well. Now the reversing mirror and serpent's tail, if you please, Chase said, as he held out his hand. Sasuke and Catnap handed over the two wu to Chase. Finally. Now, let's do this, Wuya said with a smile, as Chase placed the reversing mirror next to her, before standing across from her. Wait, serpent's tail plus the reversing mirror, Catnap said, as her eyes widened in realization. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at this, but before he could say anything, Chase held out his wu and serpent's tail. Chase yelled, as he shot forward at Wuya and the reversing mirror. Reversing mirror. Wuya yelled, as the wu behind her started to glow brightly, just as Chase and the serpent's tail collided with her, resulting in a flash of light and a shock wave going off. When the light faded, Sasuke, Catnap and Vlad saw Wuya in her human form, now standing in front of the reversing mirror. At long last. Now. Wuya was saying, as she held out her hands but nothing happened. Did you really think I would let you have your full power, my dear? I may love you, but I'm not a fool, Chase said with a grin, as he approached Wuya. Fine. But I'm not gonna just be arm candy for you, Wuya said, as she poked him in the chest. Of course not, my dear. You have your old skills from the old days and some magic, just not enough to usurp me. At least, not until I know I can trust you, Chase said with a grin. Wait, they're in love with each other? Catnap asked with wide eyes. Our payment, Sasuke stated, as he looked at the couple. Ah yes. I believe that I have something you would find adequate, Chase said, as he took a scroll out of his sleeve and threw it to Sasuke, which he caught. And our payment? Vlad asked, also wanting to get paid. Your payment will be the reversing mirror and serpent's tail, seeing as we don't need them now, Chase said, as he tossed them said Wu, which they caught. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go squash an annoying bug, Wuya said with an annoyed tone. Patience, my dear. We just need to wait for the monarch wings to reveal themselves and we can easily track Sabini, Chase said with a firm tone. Why are you after this Sabini guy? Catnap asked with a raised eyebrow. It's of no concern to you. Our business is done now, so leave, Chase said, as his cats moved to SCRT Sasuke and his team out. Let's go, Sasuke said, as he followed the cats. What did he give you, boss? Vlad asked curiously, as they left the mountain. Enough, Sasuke said, as he looked at the scroll, which had an etching of what looked like a map, that looked to lead to an old temple with a red and white fan symbol on it. Back at the Xiaolin temple. Back at the temple, the young monks were being shown an image of the mosaic scales by Master Feng in dojo, while Sophia stood next to the monks. The mosaic scales is not an ordinary Wu. It's a prison for a mischievous spirit by the name of Sabini, Master Feng said firmly. And when they broke, he got loose and possessed Naruto, Sophia said with a growl. What I want to know is how they broke in the first place, Raimundo said, as he crossed his arms with a frown. It's my fault, Kimiko said, as she frowned and looked at the floor. You Kimiko? Omi asked curiously. I broke them and I hid the pieces in Naruto's room. And now he's possessed and in danger. It's all my fault, Kimiko said, as she started to cry, as she knew this was all her fault. Master Feng said nothing to this, as he approached her. It's okay to make mistakes, Kimiko. What matters is that you admit to them and try to fix them, Master Feng said, as he patted her on the shoulder. Kimiko wiped her eyes and nodded at this, as she tried to pull herself together. Okay, so how do we defeat this Sabini? Jack asked with a scowl. The only way to make Sabini leave his host is to fight him until he can't fight anymore, Master Feng said. How do we find him? Clay asked curiously, as he knew they had to find him right away. The monarch wings. They will reveal themselves soon and we must keep Sabini from acquiring them and the mosaic scales, Master Feng said, as an image of both the mosaic scales and the monarch wings appeared on the scroll of Shingon Wu. Why? What happens if he does have both, Master? Omi asked curiously. If he has both, he won't need a host body anymore and will be powerful enough to take over the world, Master Feng said with a firm tone of voice. So no pressure, got it, Raimundo said with a sigh. Suddenly, Dojo began to go crazy, as he started to twitch violently. Okay people, let's go, Sophia said, as she led the way outside. Everyone nodded at this, as they followed Sophia outside, ready to go after Sabini and save Naruto. Later. Sabini was in front of a waterfall and was looking around for the monarch wings, but paused, as he saw Dojo and Sophia flying overhead. Ah, I figured you all would show up again, Sabini said with a grin at them, as they jumped off Dojo and Sophia. Sabini, prepare for a most humiliating defeat. Omi declared, pointing at the spirit. You. I eat bigger things than you for breakfast. Sabini stated, before bursting with laughter, as the 5 monks surrounded him. Talk all you want, but you are going up. Omi stated with a firm tone. I think he means down. Raimundo corrected. That too. Omi yelled as he nodded. Sorry Naruto, but this is for your own good. Kimiko said, jumping into the air. Judelet flip, fire. Kimiko summoned several rings of fire, flipping through as she sent a kick at Naruto's face, which he quickly blocked. Kimiko then spun another kick his way, only for him to catch her leg, tossing her aside. Typhoon boom, wind, Raimundo smashed his arms together, creating a power blast of air, pushing Sabini back, forcing him to use his arms to shield himself. Sabini grit his teeth, struggling through as he walked towards Raimundo, before grabbing him by his collar and throwing him into the air, crashing into the grass beside Jack. Seismic kick, earth. Clay stomped his foot to lift a massive boulder from the ground and kicked it towards Sabini. He cackled, punching into the boulder, shattering it to dust. Clay gasped in shock at this, before unleashing several more boulders at Sabini, only for him to smash them into pieces. Clay gave a feral growl, before summoning the biggest boulder he could, sending it flying right at Sabini. The possessed monk yawned, raising his hand and catching the large boulder in his hands. I think this belongs to you, Sabini smirked, throwing the boulder smashing into the clay, knocking right into the waterfall. Jack bots attack. Jack shouted, as his trusted robots flew around the field, shooting off lasers down at Sabini, who sidestepped, and flipped around the beams. The jackbots shot out several cords, wrapping them around his limbs. Get him Omi! Jack shouted at Omi, who was ready to attack. Tornado strike, water. Omi summoned up 2 pillars of water, which swiftly merged into one before shooting right towards Naruto. Sabini reared his arms back, slamming the bots into one another, causing them to explode. Sabini then rushed forward, pulling out the Ryujin bang and carving through the stream of water, smashing the side into Omi's face, knocking him into Jack. Jack scowled at this, before he reached under his leg warmers and pulled out some large-looking weights, which had guts written on them. You actually think some weights will make a difference? Ahahaha. Sabini laughed at this. Before Jack dropped the weights, which slammed onto the ground making a crater. How heavy were those things? Raimundo asked with wide eyes. Wait, where is Jack? Clay asked, as Jack was now gone. Okay bug boy, play time's over. Jack shouted, as he appeared in front of Sabini blocking his kick with his elbow. Jack then ducked under his punch, before upper-cutting the evil spirit, followed with a kick to the stomach, knocking him back. Jack then launched into a jump kick, only for Sabini to catch his leg, throwing him into Raimundo and Clay. Sabini felt a kick knock him to the ground. He flipped up blocking Kimiko's punch, before she sweeped at his leg, only for him to dodge it, catching another of her punches and throwing her to the ground. We have to keep fighting, we cannot let Sabini win, Kimiko said with a look of determination. Raimundo and Jack jumped at the evil spirit, as he caught both their kicks, slamming them to the ground, before dodging Clay's fist, as he rushed at him. How can we stop the unstoppable? Raimundo asked, as he groaned in pain. Omi's eyes widened, recalling the words that Chase Young had told him, when they had talked while they were separated. It is not the strongest opponent who wins, but the strongest will, Omi said with a firm tone. Naruto rushed at Omi, who quickly took up his stance. Repulse the monkey. Omi flipped on his back as he tossed Sabini over, sliding over the ground, much to the shock of his friends. Nice move Omi. Raimundo cheered. You go, little man. Jack shouted with a grin. Omi stood still, as Sabini rushed at him again, only to be met by the same result. Sabini growled, looking over to see the Ryujin bang on the ground and quickly rushed towards it. Oh no you don't. Clay yelled, as the earth under the staff shot up, sending the staff into the hands of a smirking Clay. Okay Kimiko, it's now or never. Kimiko whispered, holding out her hands, as flames surrounded her hands before slowly shifting from burning red into emerald green. Kimiko thrusted out her hands, blasting Naruto into his chest, causing him to cry out, his screams mixed in with Sabini's, as he fell to his knees, collapsing on the ground. "Whoa, Omi isn't the only one with new skills," Jack said, as Kimiko gave a tired smile, slowly falling to her knees. "We have successfully weakened Naruto, Sabini. Now you must come out," Omi said with a determined look at his downed friend. Naruto groaned, as the small bug slithered its way out of Naruto's ear, before rapidly crawling its way towards Omi. "Omi! Watch out!" Kimiko shouted, warning her friend as she saw that Sabini was heading for the monarch wings, which were nearby. Before the spirit could reach its target, two voices rang out. "Xiaolin power, tsunami raging dragon!" Chase shouted, throwing out his hand, causing water to rise up and form into a dark blue water dragon. "Xiaolin power, inferno phoenix!" Wuya shouted, as she unleashed a purple blazing phoenix. The two attacks collided, incinerating the monarch wings instantly. Chase then jumped into the air, catching the insect spirit in hand, as Wuya's purple flames drew into his hands. They looked up at each other and nodded. Chase gripped his hands tightly, as Sabini gave out a loud cry, as brown blood shot from his grip. "Whoa," Raimundo said, seeing this show of brutality from Chase. "How are you back in your human form, Wuya?" Jack asked, as he took a ready stance. "Don't waste my time, Jack. You may be trained and faster now, but I'm still better than you. And to answer your question, Sabini gave Sasuke the reversing mirror and then serpent's tail, which we borrowed," Wuya said, as she crossed her arms. "Is Naruto okay?" Chase asked with a cold tone, as he looked at Kimiko, who was letting him rest on her lap. "Why do you care?" Raimundo asked with a glare as he, Omi and Clay blocked Chase and Wuya's way to Naruto. "Yeah, what's your angle, you two? Why help us?" Clay asked with a strong tone. "Normally, we wouldn't care. But Sabini crossed a line when he possessed Naruto," Wuya said with a scowl. I can understand this from. But why you, Chase Young?" Omi asked with a cocked eyebrow. Sophia looked at Chase and Wuya, and after a few moments, her eyes widened, as she remembered back in the day, when she had fought Dashi and his team, how the dragons of fire and water seemed to be close. She then growled, as she glared at Chase and grew to her giant form. "Ah! It would seem one of you finally gets it," Chase said with a small grin. "Get what?" Dojo asked, as he looked between Sophia and Chase. "Dojo, think about it. Who was Wuya closest to back when she was good?" Sophia growled out. Well, from what I recall Dashi telling me, it was, OSHT. Dojo was saying, before his eyes widened and he shouted in shock, as realization hit him. "I do believe we are done here," Wuya, Chase said, as he glanced at the Xiaolin witch. "Indeed. You all can keep the Wu Sabini had," Wuya said, as she threw a sack at Jack, which he caught, which he opened and saw all the Wu that Sabini had stolen, minus the reversing mirror and the serpent's tail. "Okay, what the heck is going on?" Raimundo asked Dojo and Sophia, who had shrunken down after Chase and Wuya left. "Indeed. What's got you two so happy?" Omi asked curiously. "Jumpy," Jack corrected, as he closed up the sack. "That too," Omi said with a nod. "Guys, think about it. Remember how Chase wanted to talk to Naruto before and how he is interested in him?" Sophia said with a firm tone. "Yeah, so what?" Jack said, not seeing the big deal. "I should also mention that the Dragon of Water back in Dashi's time was Chase and he and Wuya were, well." Dojo said, as he trailed off. This caused everyone to freeze and their eyes to widen, as they finally understood what was going on. "Oh geez," Raimundo said, as he pinched his nose. "Tarnation. Naruto's family tree gets more and more complicated, Clay said with a sigh. Yeah. Grandparents that went bad will give anyone a headache, Jack said, as he went to go get his weights. Ugh, my head. It feels like I've been run over by a stampede, Naruto groaned, as he woke up and held his head. Naruto, I'm so sorry, Kimiko said, as she hugged him tightly. About what? Naruto asked curiously. Would you believe that you got possessed by an evil spirit and after we beat the heck out of you, your grandparents showed up and crushed the evil spirit like a bug? Jack asked, as he put his weights back on. Ah hell. I was hoping to bring that chase thing up in a better way, Naruto said with a groan. It's fine, man. It's not like this changes anything, Raimundo said with a wave of his hand. Indeed, my friend. You can't help who your family is, Omi said, as he nodded at this. Don't sweat it, partner. We have your back, no matter what, Clay said, as he patted Naruto on the back. Naruto smiled at this, glad that they were taking this well. Thanks guys. Let's get back, 'cause I'm exhausted and hungry, he said with a groan as he stood up. I'll make you ramen, Kimiko said with a determined look, as she was ready to do whatever it took to help Naruto feel better. Are you gonna feed it to him too? Raimundo asked with a teasing grin. Kimiko snarled at Raimundo at this, spitting blue fire at a tree at this. Shutting up now, Raimundo said, his eyes wide at this. I have to say, besides the whole possession thing, it was cool to see how much stronger you and Kimiko have gotten, Jack, Clay said, as he got on Dojo's back after he turned into his big form. Yeah dude. I knew that guy's training was tough, but I didn't think he was crazy too, Raimundo said, as he looked at Jack. Yeah, it's pretty intense. But Master Feng said that if I keep it up, I may find my real destiny someday, Jack said with a smile. Well, I'm sure you will find it soon enough, my friend, Omi said with a nod at his friend, as they all got on their dragon companions, before they took off, flying into the air. Xiaolin Temple. Meanwhile, in the room where the ancient scroll of Shingon Wu was kept, it suddenly started to glow and opened. But instead of a new Wu, it was showing an image of a dragon, that was flying around what looked like metal objects. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for more such crossovers. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author KFB Anime 87 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.